we're all coming across, Justin, the skepticism among certain creatives who are rejecting AI, both at work and at home. And The Guardian has published an article this week in which they say no one wants a robot to read them a story. That's a headline. But among the complaints, copyright, they think that superintelligence is just some sort of fantasy. It's being driven by venture capital. There are environmental concerns that we'll have to use computers more. You've dealt with creatives. What are you getting?
Well, look, I think I also had a look at this article because you sent it to me, and I had a good read through it. And look, first of all, I think they're right in one way, there's so much hype going on. There is a lot of hype, and it is self-serving in some respects, if I wanted to be cynical, because all of these companies, Perplexity, Anthropic, OpenAI, even Google with its Gemini, and Microsoft, they've all spending huge amounts of money. It makes sense, if I was to be cynical, that they want to basically spruik up and kind of push the idea that this stuff is sort of hyped to be the next everything, right? Because it's going to keep the investors happy and people kind of doe-eyed and glowy about it all. So I think that the kind of evisceration they make about it all being super hype isn't necessarily wrong. But here's the flip side. They're still Luddites. They're still Luddites, because, even if you pull back on all the super hype, let's just look at even the most basic thing that these systems can do. Let's just cut it all back. Let's just go away from even trying to call it intelligence. Let's just say it's a really great, amazing capabilities of taking all bits of data or information, and let's call it also the probability engine of word after word. It still fucking cuts it, man. It still shortcuts pathways. It still can do things faster than a human can do on certain levels. And I just think that anyone that's trying to sit there and go, it's only about the human connection, is a Luddite. They still want to believe that somehow this isn't part of the conversation and the discourse of a future that involves these types of, whether you want to call them tools, companions, collaborators, or if you want to get into the super hype of the fact that it's the next level of intelligence.
The thing I don't get with it is that it's not one thing or the other. Especially at the moment, it's about using AI tool. And again, I go back to my 1824 days of the early days of the internet, where people thought we're not going to go on the internet because it's going to replace the ability to do this, that, and the other. Well, hang on. Even retail had to get real about that and realize that e-commerce would actually boost sales, and they can do both. They don't necessarily have to close every store. And this is the same with these creatives. We're not at this stage replacing your mind where you had great ideas. We're not replacing your great visuals that you can create. What we're doing is we're saying, how about using some of these tools? And because you've been in the graphic design space, that you must remember how many times people have finally worked out that by using some of the tools available, they create even better work.
Oh, look, I agree. And then this is the thing. I think your point at the front of that was really great in the context of saying that it's not one thing or the other. And again, a lot of this discourse and this conversation out there is like it's either one thing, it's the super hype and everyone else is going to have to get on board, or it's the worst thing we've ever come up with and all of these people are wrong. I mean, come on. So many times we know that that is just not the way the real world works, and that there are these is an intermixing of things, and also two things can be true at the same time. It is also just frustrating to this constant thing about it's somehow that if people that use generative AI tools, especially if we go to the creativity, that they're not as authentic, there's dumbing down their thinking, that there's no way that they could be producing anything of quality. I mean, I just think it's rubbish. If you integrate with these tools and use them, you can see there are methods by which they can enhance and work with things. It's a spectrum, and again, it's the discourse and the idea that somehow AI slop is again a maxim, as if it's the only thing, that anything that comes out of the AI machines is all AI slop, and it's just not true. You know, and as we know from something else we've touched on, the number of people that are secretly using this every day, you know, like I said in one thing, it's basically to me like masturbation. Everyone does it, but no one talks about it openly anyway. It's the same thing. I feel like we're doing the same thing. It's you. All these people are secretly hiding that they use AI every day. But you know what I'm saying about the whole discourse on creativity. I just think it's a misdirected.
It is misdirected, but as I say, it just is high. It is making a big song and dance about, oh no, we won't use AI, we're pure, we're fantastic, we won't go down that road, and it's going to mean job losses, and it's going to kill the planet because we're going to have to use the computer more. It's absolute nonsense. You know, embrace technology, embrace what's available, use the tools, don't fight it. But it doesn't mean that if you're good at your job, if you're good with creativity, you are still going to be using that, because we can't necessarily at this stage especially rely on AI to replace what you bring, especially with your, you know, with your skills. So I just don't get it. And I actually find it very tiresome that we again all the time going down this road of waving banners around and protesting because something like special effects or AI or something is going to add to your toolkit.
Yeah, and I just want to say here that in the article there's a particular comment from a person, Justine Bateman, who is a filmmaker and writer, and she kind of has this quote where she says around generative AI is one of the worst ideas society has come up with. She says she despises how it incapacitates us. You know, and then there's this line she says, they're trying to convince people they can't do things they've been doing easily for years, to write emails, to write a presentation, you know, and then goes on to talk about even getting a story together for your child. Like, here's the thing. Talk about arrogance. I mean, the arrogance there is you've defined apparently the baseline on which everyone apparently is already capable at, and that anything that now is, you know, changes or works with that is somehow not authentic again to this baseline that you have defined. I mean, look at what your own statement is. People couldn't write emails 40 years ago. They wrote letters, and letters were very different format of writing style than we do in emails. I mean, this is the silliness of these types of conversations and discourse where they don't actually listen to what they're saying out loud because they want to be reactionary. So someone like Justine has defined a baseline on her current worldview as if that is the worldview by which now anything that comes in should be measured against. Well, we've been shifting worldviews and baselines forever, and this is a paradigm shift. And, you know, note to Justine, you know, bad luck. You're on the wrong side of this. You're either going to choose to be the Luddite who can continue to use the limited technology available to you now, or you're going to have to get on board as part of the reality of how AI is going to paradigm shift the world.
And the danger for those people is that they are the ones who'll be losing their job because they won't actually buy into what's happening. And, you know, think about how many times now that if you create something, if you don't have the tools on your computer to be able to send it to whoever's publishing it or whatever, you know, if you don't believe in Dropbox or send it or whatever, or you don't have the actual format of which it's needed to then go into the publication line, then you're not going to be able to they're going to reject you. And that's exactly what's going to happen with some of these people, because they're going to say, oh no, I won't use AI and I won't do this and I won't use a computer because it's going to destroy the planet, blah, 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 blah. And they are then going to be told, well, I'm sorry, that's how we do things now.
The world will leave them behind, and it certainly won't care.